You are standing on a broken wooden boat, feet soaked in cold water, hands cracked from salt and rope. Nobody in your village believes you will ever be more than the poor fisherman's son. But by the end of this story, the same people who laughed at you will be standing outside your gate, waiting just to shake your hand. This is the story of how you built $1 million life. One fish, one wave, one rejection at a time. You grew up in a small fishing village where the smell of salt water was the smell of your childhood. Your father was a fisherman. His father was a fisherman. And everyone assumed you would just be another fisherman, nothing more. Every morning, before the sun even opened its eyes, you were already in the boat. Your hands were small, but the nets were heavy. Your classmates went to school with clean shoes. You went to the shore with torn slippers, smelling of fish, mocked by kids who called you the fish boy. At home, it wasn't easier. Your relatives, the same blood, the same family name, looked at you like you were a burden. At dinner, you got the smallest plate. At family gatherings, you were the topic of quiet jokes. "He'll be catching fish his whole life," they'd whisper, just like his father. You heard it all, and it hurt. But you said nothing. You just kept rowing. Nobody claps for you when you're invisible. And for years you were invisible. You woke up at 4 a.m. every single day, rain or storm. Some days the sea gave you nothing. Empty nets, wasted hours, an empty stomach. Other days you caught just enough to survive, not enough to dream. You sold fish at the local market, standing for hours under the burning sun, while men in clean shirts walked past you like you didn't exist. Some customers underpaid you, knowing you had no power to argue. Some didn't even look you in the eye. But every single night, exhausted, salt still stinging your skin, you sat down with a small notebook. You didn't just want to survive the sea, you wanted to understand it. The currents, the seasons, the fish migration, the market prices. While others were sleeping, you were learning. You started asking questions no other fisherman asked. Why do the big buyers pay more for fish from the next village? Why does the price double once it reaches the city? Why am I always the one who earns the least when I do the hardest work? That question changed everything. You didn't have money, you didn't have connections, but you had something else. You had patience, and you had a plan. Instead of selling your fish to the middleman for almost nothing, you started walking the extra miles yourself, straight to the city buyers. It meant more hours, more exhaustion, less sleep, but it also meant more profit. Small at first, but yours. You saved every extra coin. You didn't buy new clothes. While people mocked you for wearing the same torn shirt for years, you were quietly buying a second small boat, then a third. Then you hired 2 boys from your village who had no work, just like you once had nothing. You taught them everything you had learned about the sea, about the market, about people. Slowly, your small fishing operation started turning into something bigger, not because you got lucky, but because you refused to stop when everyone else would have. And still, nobody noticed, not yet. This is the part that still hurts to remember. When you tried to expand, to buy proper equipment, a refrigerated van, a small storage unit, you needed a little support. You went to your own family, the same family that had eaten at the same table as you for years. They refused. "Why would we invest in a fisherman's dream?" one relative said. Another laughed and said you'd lose everything and come back begging. Your own uncle refused to even lend you a small amount, saying it was throwing money into the sea. You remember walking back home that night, humiliated, alone, question marks all over your future. But instead of breaking you, that rejection lit a fire inside you that never went out. You told yourself, one day they will remember this conversation, and they will regret every word. You didn't ask for help again. You built it yourself, brick by brick, wave by wave. You started supplying fish directly to restaurants in the city, fresher, faster, and cheaper than the competition because you cut out the middlemen. Word spread. Restaurant owners started calling you directly, then hotels, then export companies. Within a few years, what started as one broken boat became a small fleet. What started as one man with torn slippers became an employer of dozens of families from your own village. You didn't just build a business, you built a name. By your early 30s, your seafood supply company was worth over $1 million. Not through luck, not through shortcuts, through thousands of mornings nobody saw, thousands of rejections nobody clapped for, and one relentless decision to never quit. Here's the part that changes everything. The same relatives who once refused to lend you money. They started showing up at family events, suddenly proud to introduce you as our nephew, the businessman. The same people who mocked your torn shirt started asking for business advice. The same village that called you the fish boy started naming you as their pride and inspiration. People who once looked past you in the market now stood up when you walked in. But you